Day 70. You shouldn't let what other people do dictate what you do. Just wrote that down today. I want to speak on that topic. If I were to give myself advice, younger me from 10 or 15 years ago, and I know people have told me that when I was younger. I know it was probably in one ear and out the other, but just the idea of like, just because someone has a favorite sport or a pattern of behavior or even a favorite color or anything in between, it's like you do not have to follow the same path that someone has. You don't have to have the same line of thinking that someone else has. You don't have to do the same thing that the normal or cool crowd does. And I am not talking about rebellion in a sense here. I'm really talking about rebelling against the mainstream rebellion. I wish I would have known that. And just in summary here, like, I guess what I'm saying is I wish I would have been a little more just convicted by my own convictions and not second guessing or questioning like, hey, I'm going to follow what these people are doing and see if it gives me happiness. Because at the end of the day, like, if you truly are living for God and have an audience of one, and you're a person of substance and you have strong convictions, if a person or a set of people decides to ostracize you, exclude you, treat you differently for what you're considering to be doing the right thing or what you consider to be investing in yourself, like if someone wants to ostracize you for that, thank them. And I get it's easier said than done because especially when we're young in social circles, trying to prove yourself or make a name for yourself, again, people trying to fit in. And then also, like, when you're young, there's just this sense of not an awareness of your own mortality, or just like how destructive things can be if you live in a negative pattern. Like, you just you're not aware of that yet. So you want to do things that bring immediate gratification or pleasure, and you can easily just start to live of the world and say, oh, well, I'm going to figure it out when I'm older. But for now, me and my buddies are going to go do X, Y, and Z. And unfortunately, X, Y, and Z are things that are typically not productive. I wish I could go back and say, hey, you know what? Everyone's going right. I'm going to veer left, and I'm going to do what I've been taught, what I know. And again, it's not that I had some major big rebellion or anything like that, but just a person that was extremely, hey, here's my priorities, and my actions are going to follow exactly what those priorities, what those spoken priorities are. Like a person that would have been, from a very young age, always consistently someone that followed the things that they said. It's just easy to get off track. Like, I understand we want to have experiences and we learn from failures, and some of that can naturally be good for us in the long run, but just it's easy for kids, I think, to chalk it up as an excuse to just say, oh, I'm going to do all these crazy things and live not right because I'm going to figure it out later. And I need to make all these mistakes. Like, well, there's some things that we probably can clean up sooner just by being honest with ourselves and taking that inventory. So just not letting what anyone else does dictate or impact you in a negative way, but just living for God, an audience of one, and having daily action that backs that up. I think that's just really sound life advice. So, scripture I have today, James chapter 2, verses 12 through 14, it says, so whatever you say or whatever you do, remember that you will be judged by the law that sets you free. There will be no mercy for those who have not shown mercy to others. But if you have been merciful, God will be merciful when he judges you. What good is it, dear brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith but don't show it by your actions? Can that kind of faith save anyone? And that last part specifically really speaks to me. I'll talk about that first. Is like, if you say you have faith but you don't show it in how you're living, how you're helping people, how you're conducting yourself, how you're leading your family. If you're an athlete, like, are you actually putting in the time and investing in yourself, getting enough rest, eating well, preparing the right way? Like it can. That's a really good framework for how we should live our lives spiritually, physically, emotionally, and how we can lead. And then earlier in the verses there, it just says like to have mercy, and again to be merciful to others, to be just a good person to others, to someone that maybe that there's no benefit to gain out of going out of your way to help someone, but you just know it's the right thing to do. Like morally, you know it's the right thing. Look out for the left out is a quote that I love. And I wish I would have learned that younger, just to fully embody that younger. So that would be my advice to anyone that is either in the infancy of their faith or just a younger person that's grown up. And again, we let all of these earthly circumstances, like trying to be cool and trying to fit in, just start to get in the way of what our actual habits become or what our behavior or actions are like. But again, if you're truly living for an audience of one, it should have zero bearing on you of like what someone else is going to think, or if someone's going to cut you out of a group or whatever, if you're just living with conviction for God. So you shouldn't let what other people do dictate what you do. And I'm not saying to be rebellious or to not conform to things, but instead I'm saying the opposite. Like you want to be, I saw a quote once, it's like you want to be a rebel, like get married, have children, raise them well, be undistracted. Don't rely on, terrible food or immediate gratification. Like if you want to be a rebel, do things the old-fashioned way. Take care of your body, take care of your mind, be a good leader, and see what that does for you. That's what I got. That's day 70.